The WNBA is so pathetic at this point.
The Women's Basketball League just hit rock bottom, and honestly, they did it to themselves. We're watching a complete organizational breakdown unfold in real time, and it's absolutely wild how fast everything crumbled.
Entire viewership of the entire WNBA to be down.
Viewership numbers have nosedived from record-breaking millions to barely scraping together a few 100,000 desperate fans.
I think we can focus on our players in the union. We got a proposal from the league, which was honestly a slap in the face.
Meanwhile, players are making demands that could literally shut down the entire season before it even gets started. This isn't just your typical sports drama. This is full-blown survival mode, and the clock is ticking. If you think the league brought this disaster on itself through pure incompetence, drop reality check in the comments, because we're about to expose exactly how deep this mess really goes.
Have you ever been to a game?
Yes, once, and it was boring.
Really? Courtside or?
No. I took some kids. This organization I used to partner with named 601 Tickets used to donate tickets and stuff to my youth organization. So I used to take the kids out the projects to them WNBA games because it didn't cost much to feed them popcorn and stuff like that. They don't have high popcorn prices like the NBA. That's how you know they ain't worth shit.
So their popcorn's cheap.
Yeah. So are their jerseys. They don't invest into a lot of them women.
Let's rewind to when everything actually worked for once in this league's chaotic history. One player changed everything for women's basketball, and I mean everything. Before she arrived, games looked like ghost towns with more empty seats than actual fans.
Caitlin Clark should be, she really should be getting paid many millions of dollars, not because I'm interested in watching, but just because the fact that she's been able to generate any interest in the WNBA is you could argue it's one of the most impressive feats in human history. I honestly didn't think it was possible.
When she stepped onto the court, those same dead arenas suddenly became sold-out spectacles that people actually wanted to attend. This wasn't gradual growth that took years to develop. This was a straight-up explosion that nobody saw coming.
If I wasn't here, right, in this organization, what would happen? What would happen to this organization if they didn't have me? Right? And in Caitlin Clark's case, her departure would be devastating to the organization. It would be a catastrophe. It would be the apocalypse.
Getting people excited about the WNBA seemed completely impossible until she proved every doubter wrong. Sports analysts had written off women's basketball as unmarketable, sponsors ignored it entirely, and casual fans didn't even know games existed. Her presence alone generated more legitimate buzz than the league had experienced in its entire existence. We're talking about someone who single-handedly made the impossible happen, and the numbers absolutely prove it.
Caitlin Clark's doing pretty good right now,
Man,
though.
she's saving it. If it wasn't for Caitlin and Angel, wouldn't nobody be into this shit.
Yeah. You think Caitlin Clark. So you're a fan of Caitlin?
Yeah. Yeah.
She's fun to watch.
During her rookie campaign, games consistently pulled between 1.8 and 2.2 million viewers on a regular basis. These weren't fluke numbers or lucky breaks. This became the new standard that everyone expected. One particular matchup in May averaged 2.5 million viewers and peaked at over 3.1 million during the most intense moments. That single game became the most watched contest in the network's entire broadcasting history, breaking records that had stood for decades. The All-Star Showcase delivered the ultimate proof of her drawing power. A staggering 3.44 million viewers tuned in, completely shattering every previous record the league held. For context, that's more viewers than most NBA playoff games attract. She transformed a league that barely registered on sports media into appointment television that people cleared their schedules to watch. But here's where everything went completely sideways, and this is where the league's incompetence becomes crystal clear. They failed to protect their golden goose in the most basic ways imaginable. Referees consistently ignored obvious fouls while opponents got away with excessive contact that would result in ejections in any other professional league. The writing was on the wall, and predictably, injuries followed. The moment she went down with preventable damage, all that magic disappeared instantly. When their biggest star missed the All-Star event due to injury, ratings crashed by a devastating 36% overnight. Think about that. More than 1/3 of the audience vanished because one player couldn't participate. Ticket prices in her home state, where she was supposed to be the main attraction, collapsed in real time. We're talking about prices dropping from over $120 to barely $60 in a matter of hours as desperate sellers tried to unload worthless seats. No other player in league history, and I mean nobody, has demonstrated this kind of market influence. The organization's financial survival literally depends on one individual, yet they treated her like she was completely expendable. Her impact goes far beyond just television ratings. She built genuine mainstream excitement, filled previously empty seats, and brought the kind of media attention that money can't buy. Without her magnetic presence on the court, all the structural cracks in the foundation became impossible to ignore or spin away. But just as television revenue started flowing and sponsorship deals materialized, another massive crisis emerged that nobody anticipated. Players decided this exact moment was their opportunity to demand serious money, and they weren't interested in subtle negotiations. During the 2025 All-Star Weekend, they made their statement crystal clear by wearing coordinated shirts that demanded fair compensation for their efforts. The message went viral instantly across all social media platforms, forcing the commissioner into an impossible corner. Under this intense public pressure, league leadership announced quadruple salary increases for top performers, which sounds generous until you examine the actual numbers. Currently, the average player earns around $120,000 annually, with minimum salaries starting at $66,000 and maximum contracts reaching approximately $230,000. Quadrupling the top tier would create the league's first legitimate million-dollar salaries, which honestly seems reasonable, considering the revenue their biggest star generated almost single-handedly. The commissioner publicly acknowledged the massive financial disparity and appeared genuinely ready to negotiate in good faith. She admitted that current compensation levels didn't match the league's growing revenue streams and promised transformational changes that would benefit everyone involved. For a brief moment, it looked like both sides might reach a reasonable compromise that could satisfy player demands while maintaining league stability. But here comes the massive plot twist that nobody expected. Many star players rejected the generous offer completely without even serious consideration. They don't just want traditional salary raises, they're demanding full revenue-sharing agreements. They want the exact same 50% split that men's professional players receive from basketball-related income, which would fundamentally restructure how the entire league operates financially. Now, they're threatening coordinated walkouts, organized protests, and complete season boycotts if their non-negotiable demands aren't met by October's rapidly approaching deadline. The nuclear option is officially on the table, and both sides seem prepared for total warfare. Imagine this completely insane scenario. The league finally gains legitimate mainstream attention thanks to one transcendent superstar. Then the players themselves decide to shut down everything. That's not just ironic. That's organizational suicide in the most spectacular way possible. But this salary drama, as explosive as it appears, only scratches the surface of much deeper systemic problems that have plagued this league for years. The real issues become painfully obvious when you actually watch any game from this season with critical eyes. What you'll see will shock you, and it explains why everything is falling apart so dramatically. Officiating has become completely unpredictable and seemingly arbitrary in ways that defy logical explanation. Calls that should be automatic based on clear rule violations get completely ignored, while questionable minimal contacts result in technical fouls and ejections. Their biggest star routinely got physically dominated with minimal consequences for the aggressors, while other less marketable players received obvious preferential treatment that everyone could see. This inconsistency isn't accidental or the result of human error, it's systematic bias that serves specific agendas. When multiple players publicly criticize referees during televised interviews, you know the credibility has completely evaporated. The league operates without proper replay systems, comprehensive referee development programs, or any meaningful accountability measures. Professional basketball at the highest level is being officiated according to recreational league standards, and everyone notices. Even former players and respected analysts have called out this officiating disaster publicly. The whistle becomes a weapon that changes game outcomes based on personal preferences rather than rule enforcement. How can you build legitimate credibility when the stars themselves don't trust the people controlling the games? This fundamental breakdown destroys competitive integrity and fan confidence simultaneously. Coaching disasters have made every other problem exponentially worse through pure incompetence. The team featuring the league's biggest attraction completely mismanaged her playing time, defensive schemes, and physical protection in ways that beginner coaches would avoid. She was systematically overworked, deliberately underprotected, and inevitably suffered preventable injuries that anyone could have predicted. The head coach responsible for this mismanagement became a running joke among fans and media members. Her defensive strategies were non-existent, her rotation decisions made no logical sense, and her post-game explanations sounded like pure fantasy. Poor coaching decisions directly led to both of the league's most marketable stars getting sidelined simultaneously, which destroyed television ratings and ticket sales overnight. Fans absolutely refuse to pay premium prices to watch backup players stumble around while the genuine headliners sit in street clothes nursing preventable injuries. When your two biggest draws are unavailable due to coaching incompetence, ratings tank immediately and ticket sales collapse completely. This isn't random bad luck or unfortunate coincidence. This represents systematic failure at every organizational level. The injury management crisis extends beyond just poor coaching decisions into deeper structural problems. Medical staff appears inadequate, training regimens seem outdated, and player load management is practically non-existent. Stars play excessive minutes without proper rest, leading to burnout and physical breakdown that ruins entire seasons. Meanwhile, other professional leagues have mastered these concepts and protect their valuable assets accordingly. Recovery protocols lack modern scientific approaches that could prevent these recurring issues. Players push through obvious pain instead of receiving proper treatment, which turns minor problems into season-ending disasters. The league's medical infrastructure operates decades behind current standards, and everyone suffers the consequences when stars go down unnecessarily. Poor officiating, inadequate coaching, and preventable injuries to marquee players creates a destructive cycle that feeds on itself. You absolutely cannot build sustainable growth when every major headline focuses on controversy, incompetence, and chaos instead of actual athletic achievement. The league keeps running on temporary hype and manufactured drama rather than implementing the structural improvements that could create lasting success. This pattern repeats constantly because leadership refuses to address root causes. They prefer quick fixes and public relations campaigns over genuine organizational reform that might actually solve problems. Every crisis gets managed through spin rather than substance, which explains why the same disasters keep happening repeatedly. If these destructive trends continue without immediate intervention, the long-term consequences become absolutely inevitable and catastrophic. Television contracts worth hundreds of millions of dollars disappear completely when nobody's watching the product anymore. Major sponsors withdraw their investments when ratings can't deliver the audiences they paid for. Primetime broadcasting slots get reassigned to content that people actually want to consume. The financial domino effect would devastate everyone involved, from players to support staff. Reduced revenue means lower salaries, fewer jobs, and diminished resources across the board. Teams might fold entirely, reducing the league to a skeleton operation that barely resembles professional sports. The downward spiral accelerates once it begins because each problem makes every other issue worse. International expansion plans would collapse immediately as global markets lose interest in a dysfunctional product. Development programs for young players would disappear due to budget constraints, eliminating the pipeline for future talent. The league's reputation damage would take decades to repair, assuming recovery becomes possible at all. The nuclear option looms increasingly large as October's contract deadline approaches like a ticking time bomb. A complete work stoppage would absolutely devastate a league already hemorrhaging fans at an alarming rate. Players are actively exploring alternative competition options where compensation matches their perceived value and management demonstrates basic competence. Other leagues are aggressively recruiting dissatisfied stars with better pay packages and professional treatment. If the WNBA can't compete financially and organizationally, talent exodus becomes inevitable. Once the best players leave for greener pastures, the product quality collapses and fan interest evaporates completely. The solutions exist and aren't particularly complicated, but they require immediate implementation and genuine commitment. Protect your valuable stars instead of letting them get systematically targeted every single night, like participants in combat sports. Establish truly consistent officiating through comprehensive training programs, advanced technology implementation, and meaningful accountability measures that actually matter. Give coaches the proper resources, training, and support systems needed to develop sophisticated strategies, rather than just burning through talented players until they break down physically. Invest in cutting-edge medical facilities, recovery programs, and load management protocols that other professional leagues have already perfected through years of trial and error. Create comprehensive development pipelines for referees, coaches, and support staff that maintain professional standards worthy of elite competition. Implement advanced analytics, video review systems, and performance metrics that drive continuous improvement rather than accepting mediocrity as inevitable. The window for redemption is rapidly closing as fan patience reaches its absolute limit. Sponsors are already reconsidering their investments, and broadcast partners might not renew contracts if current trends continue. The league faces an existential crisis that requires bold leadership and immediate action, rather than more committee meetings and strategic planning sessions. The choice couldn't be simpler or more urgent: evolve dramatically right now or become completely irrelevant within the next few years. Half measures and gradual improvements won't solve problems this deep and systemic. Revolutionary change becomes the only option when evolutionary approaches have already failed repeatedly. What's your honest prediction after seeing all this evidence? Does the league somehow survive this unprecedented crisis through miraculous transformation? Or does this mark the beginning of a slow, inevitable decline toward complete irrelevance? Drop your thoughts below, because this story is far from over, and the next few months will determine everything.